thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to actually be finally launching the book, The Empowerment Cycle, and I can't wait to share with you tonight how I truly believe that this program can improve and be like a peak performance tool for you. So I will share so much tonight. The issue tonight is going to be getting me to be quiet at a reasonable time. We could honestly be here for so long. So if we go over a little bit, just remember that it is recorded, and if you have to go, you can always watch the recording later. And make sure that if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. Deb's with me tonight yet again, and we can go from there. Now, before we start, this is a really unusual thing, but before we start, I wanted to do a couple of thank yous. I really wanted to thank any of the girls from the stores that may be on tonight, but I really do want to thank the girls in the Perfect Potion store. They've been such a wonderful supporter of my book and my program, and I've already received a bit of feedback. They received the books in the shops, and just the lovely positive feedback about my book. I'm very grateful. I'm also internally grateful to the marketing team here at Perfect Potion. Again, the girls are just massive supporters and have done so much and go far beyond the call of duty to support and to get it out there. So I'm very grateful. And of course, finally, I just have to say thank you to Sal and Carolyn. Sal and Carolyn I've been working with Perfect Potion over the years. Since 1996, I returned from the UK full of information and bravado and ready to take on the aromatherapy world. And I was very blessed to have the opportunity to work with Perfect Potion and Sal and Carolyn. They've been my bosses, my mentors, and my good friends. So I'm just very grateful to have the opportunity to have a book in Perfect Potion and have it supported by such an organisation. So a little bit of a digress, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you. So tonight, what are we going to discuss? Because this little book has pretty much my life's work in it. I know that sounds really dramatic, but it's what I do. It's what I really get up in the morning for. And I truly believe that it empowers you so much. This little book's not just, to have a read of and have a light read. It's like a tool, and you can be, you might be a female, you might not identify as a female, and but really wanting to understand the feminine cycle, and this book can help you do that. It's also fantastic for you men out there. I don't know if I've got any men on the line, but one of my favorite workshops I've ever done was for a group of single dads, and I've never laughed so much in my life, but there were these dads that have got these little girls that have turned into these beautiful but challenging creatures, and they just wanted to understand them. And so the workshop that I did with them was amazing. But how is this little book going to help you? And I wanted to share that with you. So the idea is that after you get yourself this book and you read the 4 phases of our cycle. So we have 4 amazing phases of our cycle. Now, the other thing that some of you may be asking is, do you have to have a period? What about if I've got the marina in? Well, all that is addressed in here. And it's also if you're menopausal or perimenopausal. As a perimenopausal woman myself, I can tell you that you still chart. And many of my clients have charted over the years, have told me that they still have a cycle. It just changes. And this is why this program's so amazing, because it's your program, it's your cycle, and it's your charting. And the power is understanding your cycle. My book will help you understand the 4 phases, and we'll touch on them in a minute. But your charting experience allows you to discover how it looks for, and changes for you, and how it then evolves over the years. So, you know, my cycle, I've started charting when I was about 24. I'm about to turn 50. And, you know, that my charting has changed dramatically. But the cycle is still there and the power of it is still there. So when I talk about the power of it, what do I mean? Well, we have this internal tool that guides us on so much in life. So this cycle influences the way we feel about ourselves, the way we feel and interact with others, the risk appetite that you have. You know, it changes throughout the month. Your pain threshold changes. How much you can push your body in different times. Now, when I talk to men about this, and I was at a dinner not too long ago, and one of the fellows said, what is your menstrual coaching stuff all about? And I'm like, well, if I told you you had a tool that would tell you when you can push yourself harder, tell you when you're going to take more risks, tell you when you're going to spend more money, tell you when you are a more high detailed thinker or creative thinker, you know, would that be beneficial? And they're like, oh yeah, do I have this? And I was like, no. Although I do believe that men cycle too, but that's a whole nother book and I don't have the funds to research that baby. And I don't know if I've got that many willing participants to help me chart. But I do have this information for us as women and it's powerful. So the idea is in this book, you start with the 4 phases. So let's talk briefly about them. So you have 4 phases of your cycle. The first, and I call them goddess phases. Now, why do I call them goddess phases? Well, I call them goddess phases because I want this cycle to have a positive language around it. And when I say things like the premenstrual phase, that doesn't conjure up really positive affirmations in your mind. I imagine it's not, inspiring you and making you feel great about yourself. Whereas if you understood that Persephone, which is the phase around that premenstrual phase, she's this amazing, creative, powerful, passionate being, well, then you don't mind being in Persephone because that's sort of fantastic, really. So that's one of the reasons why I used it. The other reason why I used goddess names as the 4 phases is that these 4 phases that I describe, I've used 4 goddesses that really inspire the energy of that phase. So when I talk about Daphne, which is the follicular phase of the cycle, so around day 5 to day 12, around that sort of phase, she's this energetic, independent. She's a huntress. The goddess is a huntress that used to go out into the forest and run and shoot and play. And she doesn't want to be tied down or stuck or, bothered. She wants to feel free and energetic. And that's really the energies of this phase. When you understand them and recognize them, at this phase of our cycle, we're feeling energetic and light and positive, and so you want to embrace that phase. So we'll talk about the 4 phases. I just mentioned Daphne, and that's day 5 to around day 12, and then Demeter is around day 12, 13 to a day 16. And it's a shorter phase and it's around ovulation. And this phase, you have high amounts of estrogen in your body, which bring you energy, and you're a very good communicator in this phase. So there's lots of research that show that you communicate better. You're more compassionate and kind. You're more outward. You're more generous. This is a beautiful phase to entertain, to present, and if you want to achieve something, this is a great phase to do it. Athletes tend to find that they can push their bodies really well in this phase. You've got a lot of energy. Now, something to be aware of is the risk factor in this phase. You have higher amounts of risk in this phase. And there was a study that they gave 50 women $50 and took them to a casino. And the women that were ovulating, so the women that were in Demeter, spent their money quickest. Now, that makes sense to me, because if you think about it, this phase is about ovulation. So as women, whether we are conscious of it or not, we're trying to find our partner, we're trying to reproduce. It's something that's subconscious in us, even if we're, generally, no, thank you very much. But our body is built this way, and so therefore it's looking for it. So we tend to take more risks. So it makes complete sense. And everything in the cycle, it does make sense. And then we move to Persephone, which I mentioned, which is the goddess. And she was taken to the underworld, and she was, but she kind of liked it. She was, she was passionate and creative and amazing. Now, as I mentioned, this phase has this bad reputation that you're premenstrual, so you're feisty and you're cranky and you're grumpy. And do you know what? Yeah, maybe you are all those things, but you're not all those things all the time. And you're also really up and down, and you're going to be, you've got lots of energy and lots of focus and lots of creativity. So it really is amazing. And then you move into Hecate, which is about more reflective and intuitive and resting and things like that. So these are the 4 phases. And of course, I couldn't be here tonight and not talk about essential oils and how these essential oils you can use to support yourself throughout the phases. Now, again, I'm very lucky to be able to say that I have, I'm very honoured to have a range of oils that are co-branded with M Goddess, and they match the 4 phases of the cycle. So you've got your Daphne, Demeter, Persephone, and Hecate. Now, let's think about them from an oils perspective. How do you use them to benefit? What can you do to really get the best out of yourself in these phases? So Daphne is this phase of, day 5 to 10, 12, where you're feeling energetic and enthusiastic and focused. So the essential oils in here are essential oils that enhance this, that make you feel powerful, that give you energy and focus. So full of basil and lemon, and it's a beautiful, fresh, invigorating blend that helps you to really just keep focused in your day. Now, I use the essential oils by popping them in a diffuser or wearing them on a bracelet daily. So I'll look at what phase I'm in. I'll say, right, I'm in Daphne. I want to go this week. I want to make sure I achieve all my goals. I want to write some things. I want to work hard. So I'll put a few drops on my blend, onto my bracelet or into my diffuser, and off I go. I just find that it really enhances, and the other thing that it does is it allows you to connect. It allows you to almost embody, if you like, that phase. It gives you that connection and allows you to be a bit more playful in it. There's another area that we talk about, and it's about your clothing style even changes. And it truly, it's so funny. I used to live with a lady who honestly, I could tell what phase she was in from what outfit she was wearing in that day, because it would change so dramatically depending on what phase she was in. But it became playful for her. She understood that this was the phase she was in, and this was the heightened strengths. And so she would dress to actually benefit the phases. So as we talked about Daphne, and then we moved to Demeter. And Demeter's around ovulation. It's that really amazing time where your skin tends to feel fantastic. The increased estrogen allows your skin to feel glowy and amazing. It's a great time to trial new skin treatments. So if you're wanting to use that mask or that scrub that you've been wanting to to go and grab, this is the time to use it. It's a fabulous time where your skin is normally quite open to trialing new things. So you can do that. Now, this phase is about compassion and love. It's also about empathy, but openness, and just really, it's a really beautiful phase. So the essential oils that are commonly in this, if you think about it again, it's those floral notes and it's those woody notes. So, there's geranium and clary sage in this blend. It's just really positive blend. It's got lavender in it as well, of course. And it's just one of those oils that I use for, around the home. It's homely. It connects me to my inner earth mother, sort of goddess. And again, I'll wear them just to reconnect me to the phases I am, but it also helps support me to really feel that energy that you want to tap into and get the strengths of. When we move into Persephone, which is that beautiful phase of creativity and passion. So this is also, our brains change at this time, and we really think we're better detailed sort of thinkers in this phase. So writing a list and sort of going through it is good. We think more methodically, and we really have that detail, or we have that creative spark about us. I always encourage my clients that in this phase, make sure that you allow some time to be creative. If you dance, sing, draw, paint, cook, build, whatever it may be, allow yourself some time to do it. Put it into your diary, really connect with that phase and allow it to really inspire you. And that's what the Persephone blend is all about. So I don't know if you've smelt it, but it's all about creativity. It's got black pepper. It really inspires the juices. It gets it all happening. It's one of those really, I call it like a velvet sledgehammer. It's gentle, but it really gives me a boost and a kick along. So I love using Persephone to encourage that creativity and playfulness in my life. And again, I love to wear it because when I am feeling a bit feisty or a little bit frustrated with what's going on, just merely inhaling it can allow me to reconnect to that phase and allow me to understand it better. And then, of course, you've got Hecate, which is more around menstruation. And if you don't have a period, it's around that new moon, the dark moon. And it's more about intuitive and deepening and slowing down. And it happens to be my favorite blend. It's got, a beautiful range of oils. I love frankincense and fregonia, and there's lavender in it again, but it's actually quite a complex blend of oils, and it's a beautiful oil to use. Again, I tend to use it quite a lot. It supports me and especially in that phase. But I find it really reconnects me. If I'm feeling flighty or I'm feeling a bit off, I'll tend to come back to that. Now, so that's sort of connecting to the oils, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit more, how do you use the book, I'm keeping an eye on the time. And in the book, it's sort of broken into 3 sections. So you've got the 4 phases of the cycle that we talked about. And obviously we go into a lot more depth about each phase. And I talk more about, what to expect in that phase, what tends to be, what's come up in charts in the past and what's come up in research that I've found. So over the years, I've had more than probably 600 charts now that women have worked with me and given to me, and I've been able to look at the content. And then everything that I've also sort of come up with or found, or my findings, I've gone in and looked for research papers to be able to see if there's any formal research that's being done with this. And that's an interesting thing in itself, because there's this debate maybe only in my head, I don't know, you may not feel the same way, but I have a debate around this because this program is really intuitive. As a woman, we are connected to our body and we're connected to what we find. And, you know, all of the content in this book has been intuitive findings. You know, there's nothing in this book that has been pulled from a research paper and I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? I'll put that in. Everything from the book has been from research papers has backed what we found already in my charts. So, you know, things have come up and that's made me intrigued. Oh, is there any research around that? And boom, there would be. So this is the way we've looked. So we've got the 4 phases, and then we talk about charting. Now, when I talk about charting, this is a process that that really is the simplest of connections to your body. You can download the charts from my website. They're free, and all the information's in the book. But the big thing is you can use apps. They're very popular, I know that. But there's a lovely, amazing woman called Sarah Yip, and she talks about the palm and the connection that the palm has to the heart. And when you write, it sort of brings up a deeper connection, a more real connection. And when you're doing on an app, you know, there's a little bit of it's convenient and it's, you can click your information and get going. But the actual process of charting is like a form of mindfulness. I find it really mindful to sit and to color in, and I download my charts. Well, I have a charting calendar, but and I put them beside my bed with my coloring in pencils and my pens, and they literally sit beside my bed. Before I go to bed at night, I just pull it out and I do a little bit of charting. I reflect on my day. I connect with what's going on. I might do my meditation, and then off I go. Now, that's to me a way of connecting to my body, allowing me to slow down and listening to what's going on in my cycle. Because we run all day, we go, and this process allows us to just stop for a bit and just really reconnect to your body and to what's going on in it. So I highly recommend that you just keep them beside your bed in a little folder, pull it out and go from there. Now, you might also be thinking, do you still chart? Really? Seriously, Sharon? You're telling me that you started charting in your mid-20s and you're 50? You've been charting for 25 years? And the truth is, yes and no. So, yes, I am charting at the moment because I'm perimenopausal and my cycle has gone crazy. So I wanted to understand, is there a cycle that's happening for me still? Is there a pattern? What's happening to my phases? How are they adjusting? What's going on? And so I am charting. And I probably hadn't charted for about 3 years, but 3 years ago, I decided to give up alcohol. I decided I felt like I had a bit of an addiction going. And so I used charting to help me do it then. So I pulled out my charts and I started to look at my cravings. What was going on? Was there a time that I was craving more? Was there a time where I was dealing with it better or worse? So you can, this information you learn once, and then you can use it in so many ways in your life. You can use it for different aspects of your life to empower you and support you. When you are feeling a little lost, and I do this whenever I feel like I'm losing my path a bit, I pull out my charts and I start charting again. It's my way of reconnecting to myself. It's my way of going from there. And then, so I explain all how to chart in the book, obviously. And then finally, I talk about, well, what now? How do you use this information? And there's a couple of stories from some people that have charted in their past and what they got out of it. But it tells you about preparing for the month ahead, using it as a performance tool. So using it to go, okay, so today I'm I am TikTok about to go into Hecate. So I'm about to menstruate. I'm about to have my period. Do I really feel like I want to be in front of a big group and be, bouncing with energy and, doing that? I was really, I'm worried that I'm going to come off as flat. I'm going to be a bit tired. I've got a big day. Well, I obviously, looked at my chart and went, okay, Sharon, you're about to have your first day of your cycle when you have this event, and this event's really important. I want to be able to share this information with every bit of enthusiasm and love that I can possibly conjure up. So I made sure that I was here within a time where I could have a break, I could reset, and I could just give myself that time. So by the time the camera went go and we were here, I am completely present and completely with you. And that's what you can do, because you can't alter your calendar to say, okay, I want to be running this race in Demeter because that's when I'm going to be fastest. You can't do that, but you can go, okay, I know that I'm in Demeter when I've got 1 week out of training. I'm going to make sure I don't train too hard because this is a phase where I really want to push myself. It's a natural feeling to want to push myself. I'm going to make sure that I don't, so I can restore some energy and keep something in the stores to be able to produce that result next week. And this is the sort of stuff that you can do it. Teams around the world are doing this. CEOs are having people come in and speak to teams. And this is the sort of stuff that people are doing now. It's really utilizing this tool to benefit you, to tap in, connect and use it as that superpower, because that's what it really, really is. So I just wanted to look in, and while we're going, have we got any questions, or while we're going, because I've got so much more to say, but I thought I might just stop and make sure that we've got some things. Oh, so now is Hecate. So it's a little bit of a favorite. It's when in doubt, go Hecate, and because I am in Hecate, so that's the phase definitely that I love. Okay, I always thought, yeah, no. So around day 10 to around 14, yeah. So it can be a little bit earlier. I find between ovulation. Oh, sorry. I always thought ovulation was around day 12 to 14. Are all women different? Well, yes, everyone is different. And if you're not sure if you're ovulating, there's a couple of things you can do. One is temperature. You can buy a thermometer that you put under your tongue, and every morning you gauge your temperature, you take it. And a good way of understanding whether you've ovulated is if you chart down your temperature, and then just before you ovulate, you get a drop in temperature, and then it goes up, and it remains up until you get your period again, and then it drops down. So that's a good way of understanding. But yes, between, like I say, between day 8 and day 12. So that's sort of, you can be, but it can be up to day 14, day 16. Everyone's sort of different, but it's definitely sort of halfway in your cycle. So I hope that sort of makes sense. But that's why it really is important to understand your cycle, because you can learn when you're ovulating. There's also, you can take a texture test of the mucus, and you can do all sorts of things. So if you're wanting to know more about that, just feel free to message me, and I can point you in the right direction of some more information about that. I'm happy to do that, because even now, as I was saying, being perimenopausal, it's interesting to me if and when I'm ovulating and going from there. Oh, hello, beautiful Veronica. Sharon, what is your perspective on those with endometriosis? Sorry, bit tongue-tied today. Should not use clary sage. What would they use to decrease bleeding? To be honest, I I do use clary sage. I use it like a lot of my oils. I use it in small amounts. I don't use high dilutions when it comes to these sorts of things. I use around a 1% blend, and I would probably combine it with something like fennel, or I would use it with geranium or rose otto. They would be oils that I could combine. So, but I would still tend to use a couple of drops. I know that I have read in some places about it, but I also haven't read too much. I haven't seen any research that makes me avoid it. And the results that I have in my clinic have been sort of always been of a good result. So, you know, not harmful. So yeah, that's that one. Hello, Sharon. Thank you for your webinar. My pleasure. I went through menopause nearly a decade ago, and I don't recognise in my cyclic phase anything resembling Daphne or Demeter anymore. Are there more subtle signs post-menopause we can watch for? It's really great. Yes, in short, yes, there is. So I would suggest that you do connect with your cycle and start charting, and chart with the moon. So, and every chart is every new moon. So new moon, new chart, and that's day one of your cycle, the new moon. I'd be really interested to, if you did that charting and you stopped and thought about, connected. I wonder if you did notice it, or whether it's something that you feel. I don't know. Maybe you've been charting for a little while and haven't noticed it. But feel free to private message me about this. But I would suggest that you have a look at connecting with the moon and doing some charting for a little while around that. There's another option too. I have meditations that you can use. They're free meditations available to you, and you can, and I'll actually pop them on the Facebook, the Facebook site. I'll do that. They're just, so you'll have access to them on the Facebook group. And they might help you connect and find what that phase looks like for you, because it may not be a traditional, high peak, because it is to do with, estrogen levels generally, but it is also to do with the changing of the moon and how the moon adjusts, and how we generally have a little bit more energy as that moon phase is going towards the full moon, and what can happen for you in those phases. So feel free to reach out to me and ask me any more, but I would be inclined to really try and dabble into that information. Oh yeah, any special recommendations for teenagers starting menstruation? My daughter would be mortified right now for me to tell you that she's 17 and obviously has had a cycle for some time. She's grown up with me, funnily enough, as her mother. And I have always been very open and encouraging of her really discovering and getting to know her cycle. And she did not want a bar of it, like absolutely not a bar of it. But I just persisted, I kept my original book with her. I would talk about it every now and then. I'd be quite open. I, would chat. And to my absolute sheer delight, and I had to try and keep it all together a few months ago, but she came out with a chart one day and said to me, "So, Mum, I'm in this, I'm here. So I'm feeling this, but, is that to do with this? Is that to do with my cycle?" And I very calmly was like, "Yes, honey, that sounds good. And, what about this? And what about that?" And, as she turned on her heels and went back to her bedroom, I was, skipping and completely elated. But I know that now she's starting to learn more and really embrace her cycle. I find that teenagers just take a little bit more time to do it. They're getting over the initial sort of experience of it. And again, they're not fed a great deal of positive, information about it. And so there tends to be a little bit more hesitance around that. But I think that's breaking down. I really believe that that it's changing. We've got lots of people that, I have lots of younger women come to me. A friend of mine, she's a friend of my daughter's. I gave her a book and she's got little tabs all through hers, and she wants to catch up with me and ask me a million questions and give me feedback and consider it from a younger perspective. So I can't wait to do that. And if and when I do tend to share this, on groups. So, just keep an eye on the Facebooks, and I'll keep you informed, but definitely just really encourage them, and the charting's a really good one. So get her, give her a chart, and the book's, designed to be an easy read. So I do find that, it's one of those books that's quite encouraging, and hopefully she'd find it interesting eventually when she got over it. Okay, is it still beneficial for charting through menopause? Absolutely. It might be a different series of questions, and you might be looking at slightly different things. There might be more around, your mood. It might be more around energy levels. You might be more around physical dryness. There might be all different things, sex drive. These are the sorts of things that you might chart that's different to when you are charting when you had a menstrual cycle, but I strongly suggest you do. And if you haven't got a cycle, as I mentioned, connect with the moon, the 4 phases of the moon, and just new chart, new moon. Okay, essential oil blends for pre-menopause. To be honest, there's many that you can use. I'm a big fan for Hecate for that blend as well. Like, I just find it so very good. I suppose it's what it is that you're feeling, pre-menopause can be, is it more frustration and or are you more teary? Like, there's lots of blends that Perfect Potion do that I could highly recommend. But we have, as I said, come to the sort of close to the end. I could talk forever on this subject. I truly feel that passionate about it. All I really ask or want for you is really to give it a go, to have a read and to connect and really use it. I wish I knew this information when I was younger. I found it when I was in my mid-20s, but I wish I knew it earlier. And even when I discovered it in my mid-20s, I was still unsure of myself. I had so much self-doubt and lack of self-confidence. I really wondered if what I was talking about was even on the planet, because as you can imagine, telling people all the time that it was probably linked to their period or their menstrual cycle, people would just like roll their eyes or blank out. But time and time and time again, I've seen how the menstrual cycle influences and impacts your life. And I just really encourage you to tap in and to connect to it and use it as that powerful internal tool that it's actually designed to be. If you've got any questions, please just keep going and please ask me. I'm loving seeing the questions, and if you've got anything to go, just let me know. But I really just a message, feeling like, yeah, look, one of the chats about how life is like a roller coaster, and it is, but I can tell you now that if you really understand your cycle, you understand the phases and how they show up for you, when you get to that phase where you're feeling like you're just about to just go down that crazy roller coaster and you're about to flip 3 times, just hold on, because you got 2 turns and then you're cruising again. And that's the power of it. That's where I found my self-esteem increased in it, because I was able to use it as something that just encouraged me to just hold on and just get through. And I'm finding it works with me now, being perimenopause, and things are a little bit out of whack, but it allows me to connect and just stay with it. So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed spending time with you. I hope that it's been worthwhile. Let me know how you go. Let me know your feedback on the book. I hope you enjoy it, and much love to you all. Bye.